From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Sunday evening believes that China's aggression or aggressive actions against Filipino vessels in the West Philippine Sea or WPS further solidified the determination to defend and protect the country's sovereign rights over the WPS. This followed after a new provocation and harassment perpetrated by the China Coast Guard and their Chinese maritime militia against ML Kalayaan, BRP Cabra, and Onaiza May 1 that are conducting a resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre at the Ayungin Shoal over the weekend. In a social media post, the president reiterated that the Ayungin Shoal is within the country's exclusive economic zone or EEZ, and any foreign claim of sovereignty over it is baseless and absolutely contrary to international law. President Marcos said that Bajo de Masinloc is a sovereign Philippine territory and an integral part of the country's archipelago. The chief executive added that no one but the Philippines has a legitimate right or legal basis to operate anywhere in the West Philippine Sea. President Marcos also thanked the country's armed forces and assured them of the government's continued support.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine delegation to the 28th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC COP28 in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, highlighted the country's qualifications to host the Board of Loss and Damage Fund. According to a news release of the Presidential Communications Office on Sunday, Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DENR Secretary Antonia Yulo Loizaga said, the Philippines is most qualified to host the Board of Loss and Damage Fund for not only being a living testament to the effects of climate change, but also with its abiding interest in promoting equitable and just rules in the governance of the global commons. In her statement, Loizaga said, the Philippines' commitment to multilateralism, strengthened international cooperation, and global solidarity remains steadfast, recognizing that no single country can tackle the complexities of climate change alone. Delegates in the Dubai COP28 agreed on the operationalization of a fund that would help compensate vulnerable countries coping with loss and damage caused by climate change, a major breakthrough in this year's UN Climate Conference. Loizaga also emphasized that the Philippine delegation continues to champion the cause of climate justice by upholding the principles of equity, common but differentiated responsibility, and by ensuring urgent and responsive means of implementation in terms of capacity building, tech transfer, and financing to developing countries. The DENR Secretary added that the Philippines seeks to advance the values of its biodiversity and oceans as the source of nature-based solutions to climate crisis and to serve as the foundation for inclusive and resilient development. Before concluding her statement, Loizaga reiterated the Philippines' bid to host the Board of Loss and Damage Fund on top of a seat in the inaugural board of the fund. Hosting the fund in the Philippines will showcase global commitment to inclusivity, ensuring that the voices and experiences of the most affected countries are heard and considered in shaping the most urgent of global climate policies. Loizaga urged world leaders to start moving forward with courage, unity, and determination towards a more resilient, equitable, sustainable, and prosperous global community as she asked them to set aside differences for the sake of the planet and all peoples. She said a sustainable and resilient future for the generations to come can only be secured through collective actions.
Dateline Malacañang.
China Coast Guard or CCG and Chinese Maritime Militia or CMM vessels water cannoned yet again Philippine boats and their escorts that were on regular rotation and resupply or RORE mission to the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal Sunday. According to the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea or NTFWPS, the latest harassment damaged 2 of the 4 Filipino ships, but the RORE mission was carried out. The Philippine vessels involved were ML Kalayaan, along with BRP Cabra, BRP Sindangan, and Onaiza May or UM-1. On Saturday morning, 3 Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources or BFAR vessels providing humanitarian support to Filipino fisherfolk off Bajo de Masinloc, also known as Scarborough Shoal, were also water cannoned and at least 8 times by CCG ships, while a long-range acoustic device caused severe temporary discomfort and incapacitation to some Filipino crew. The NTFWPS said BRP Cabra sustained damage in its mast after being directly hit by the water cannons. Meanwhile, Philippine Coast Guard or PCG spokesperson for WPS, Commodore J. Tariela, confirmed in his X account that UM-1 was also water cannoned by the CCG. However, he did not give details on what damage it sustained. The NTFWPS said China's latest unprovoked acts of coercion and dangerous maneuvers against a legitimate and routine Philippine RORE to Ayungin Shoal put the lives of Filipino crew members at risk. It added that the Philippines would continue to act according to international laws. Meanwhile, House Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez strongly condemned the attacks against Philippine vessels, describing it as blatant violation of international norms and a direct challenge to the sovereignty and rights of the Philippines. He reminded the international community that Bajo de Masinloc lies within the Philippines' 370-kilometer exclusive EEZ. At the same time, Romualdez expressed disappointment over Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin's outright dismissal of House Resolution No. 1494 condemning China's activities in the WPS and urging the government to defend sovereign rights over the country's EEZ. He maintained that China's construction of artificial islands and militarization of the area, as detailed in the resolution, demonstrates a disregard for international law and poses a threat to regional stability. Cagayan de Oro City 2nd District Representative Rufus Rodriguez categorized as baseless narratives China's rejection of a resolution adopted by the lower house. Despite the ongoing harassment, Romualdez emphasized the Philippines' commitment to diplomatic solutions.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has been diagnosed as recovered as he is no longer showing any symptoms of COVID-19. In a Facebook post, the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, said that the president is progressing well in his recovery. According to the PCO, President Marcos is now free of cough, nasal congestion, and fever for more than 24 hours. The PCO added that all other medical findings were unremarkable. The chief executive was closely monitored by medical professionals throughout his entire home isolation period, which ended Sunday. As a precaution, the PCO said President Marcos will continue to wear a face mask during public engagements for 10 days following his isolation period. The Department of Health, or DOH's revised guidelines mandate 5-day home isolation for symptomatic and asymptomatic individuals infected with COVID-19. The isolation may be shortened for those who are fever-free for at least 24 hours without using antipyretics such as paracetamol and with improvement of respiratory systems. The updated rules also require them to wear well-fitted face masks for 10 days after undergoing isolation. President Marcos first contracted the disease in March of 2020, which supposedly happened after returning home from a trip to Spain. He got infected again in July of 2022.
Dateline Malacañang.
Another batch of 27 overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, from Israel are scheduled to arrive in the Philippines on Monday, December 11th. They are the 11th batch of Filipinos who chose to return home following the continuing conflict between the Israel Defense Forces and the Palestine militant group Hamas. According to the Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, the OFWs will arrive in the afternoon on board Etihad Airways Flight EY424. The plane will land at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA Terminal 3, wherein 25 caregivers and 2 hotel workers are expected to return to the country. They will be welcomed by officials of the DMW, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, and the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, and will be given financial assistance as well as other help from the government.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Coast Guard, or PCG, and Atin Ito Coalition has decided to return to El Nido, Palawan Province after their vessel was continuously hounded by Chinese vessels, which includes 2 Chinese Navy ships, 1 Chinese Coast Guard vessel, and 1 Chinese cargo ship. The shadowing started on the vessel TS Capitan Felix Oca at around 3:40 in the afternoon at the southern part of Kayumangi Bank. The Christmas convoy civilian mission is expected to return to El Nido on Monday, December 11th. Based on the original plan, the convoy will traverse the vicinity of Ayungin Shoal and continue to Patag and Lawak Island at the West Philippine Sea, or WPS, which is loaded with supplies and Christmas donations for the frontliners and fisherfolks there.
Dateline Malacañang.
The United States condemned the action perpetrated by the Chinese Coast Guard or CCG on Saturday after they water cannoned a Philippine vessel at the West Philippine Sea or WPS, which other countries have shown concern. In a statement, United States Ambassador to the Philippines, Mary Kay Carlson, strongly condemned the aggressive and illegal actions by China to the vessels of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources or BFAR in the country's exclusive economic zone or EEZ. According to Carlson, the United States supports the Philippines as one of its partner allies in the conduct of a free and open Indo-Pacific. The Embassy of Japan to the Philippines, for its part, expressed its concern on the actions of the Chinese Coast Guard against the ships of the Philippines in the WPS. The embassy also expressed the importance of following the rules of the seas, especially the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS and the 2016 Arbitral Award. This was also the statement of the United Kingdom, in which they said that the CCG have put the lives and jobs of people in the area because of the unsafe actions done at the Scarborough Shoal. Besides this, the European Union also expressed its support by emphasizing the UNCLOS Tribunal Award in 2016, which was seconded by Germany. Earlier, the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea, or NTF-WPS, condemned the illegal actions perpetrated by the CCG and the maritime militia against civilian vessels of the Philippines. The NTF-WPS emphasized that the Philippines have sovereign rights to Bajo de Masinloc, which confirms to the 2016 Arbitral Award and demands the immediate withdrawal of Chinese vessels in the area. The NTF-WPS also called on the government of China to stop its aggressive actions, adhere to international law, and assure the safety of Filipino fishermen in the area.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine First Lady Marie-Louise Liza Araneta Marcos praised the programs of the National Housing Authority or NHA that help families that have been victims of calamities and other activities for the poor. The First Lady said this during the Lab for All caravan in Palawan Province, in where she also recognized the importance of the NHA's mandate to the lives of the poor. According to NHA General Manager Joben Tai, the Special Emergency Housing Assistance Program, or EHAP, of the NHA aims to give additional financial assistance to families affected by extreme calamities. Together with the distribution of EHAP, the Lab for All caravan program of the First Lady was also held in the province on December 5th. NHA is one of the participants of the caravan, where its services was made public as well as its housing projects. The First Lady and General Manager Tai spearheaded the distribution of housing units to 5 families that participated in the caravan. They are a part of the more than 1 million families that were affected by Typhoon Odette that hit southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao in December of 2021.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Vice President and Education Secretary Sara Duterte over the weekend visited persons deprived of liberty or PDLs at the Metro Bacolod District Jail in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental Province. The Vice President visited the male and female dormitory in where she gave a message of love and forgiveness from their families and loved ones. Vice President Duterte also ordered her satellite lead office in Bacolod to give the PDLs lawyers that will help them in their case and apply in the government's clemency program. At the same time, Duterte called on the PDLs to let their relatives understand the importance of education as well as finishing their studies that will help them face challenges of life. Duterte also encouraged the PDLs who never finished their studies to continue under the Alternative Learning System or ALS of the Department of Education or DepEd. ALS aims to give PDLs the opportunity for a new life armed with their experiences when they are released from jail and give more opportunities when they reach the happiest day of their lives.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Manila International Airport Authority, or MIAA, over the weekend reported a huge increase in its number of passengers this November that reached more than 3.8 million tourists. According to the MIAA, data shows a 23% increase in passengers or 97% more compared during the height of the pandemic. In a statement, MIAA officer in charge Brian Coe said that they are confident that the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA can accommodate their projection of 45 million passengers and a total of 275,000 flights by the end of the year. NAIA recorded a total of 41,213,734 passengers and 254,174 trips in the first 11 months of the year and is expected to drastically increase because of the surge of passengers this month of December. Meanwhile, on-time performance or OTP at the NAIA reached 81%, which shows an increase from the 60% registered in June. Philippine Airlines and PAL Express collected the highest average OTP for local carriers at 84%. While Cebu Pacific Air along with CebGo accounted for 83% and Air Asia Philippines got 77%. Ethiopian Airlines got the most OTP at 100% with its 34 flights for international carriers, followed by Zip Air with 98% in its 60 flights.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.